The night shift at the human listening post was usually silent. Screens glowed, machines hummed, and space stretched endlessly outside the thick glass windows. Officer Mark leaned back in his chair, half bored, staring at the blinking lights. On his console, nothing ever changed out here. For months, the station had caught only background noise from distant stars, dot then comma at 2:13. Everything changed. A strange pulse cut through the static. At first, it was soft, like a whisper buried under heavy static. Then it grew louder, sharper, almost desperate. Mark sat up straight. His eyes widened as symbols and broken sounds scrolled across the screen. "Control, you seeing this?" he called out. Lieutenant Sarah rushed to his station, her sharp eyes fixed on the monitor. "What is it? Interference?" Mark shook his head. "No, this is a signal. Someone sending a message." The room grew tense as other officers gathered around. The broken words played again, this time clearer, though still cracked by static. "Help us. Please, death, coming." The voices were not human. Their tone was high-pitched, trembling, filled with fear. Sarah's face turned pale. Aliens. For a moment the crew exchanged silent looks. Humanity had met a few alien species before, but none had ever sent a message like this, full of raw terror. Mark whispered, "Do you think it's real?" Before Sarah could answer, the message repeated. This time, a chilling phrase cut through the static, sharp and certain. "Deathworlders, coming." The crew froze. The word carried weight, like something dark and ancient. Commander Reeves entered the control deck, his heavy boots echoing on the metal floor. He'd been woken by the alarm. "Report," he barked. Sarah pointed to the screen. "Unknown alien transmission. Distress call. Mentions something called Deathworlders." Reeves frowned. "Put it on speakers." The signal played again. The alien voice cracked, shaking, desperate. "Please, anyone, help us. Deathworlders are coming." When it ended, silence filled the deck. Even the humming of machines felt muted. Reeves narrowed his eyes. "Track the source." Mark's fingers flew over the console. "Origin point. Unknown system, 2 sectors away. Coordinates locked. Signal is weak. Could be a trap, sir." Reeves grunted. "Or it could be real. Prepare a scout ship." Sarah hesitated. "Sir, we don't know what Deathworlders are. Should we call for reinforcements?" Reeves' voice was hard. "By the time backup arrives, it may be too late." The officers nodded, but unease filled the room. Something about the voice had felt too real, too terrified. Hours later, the scout ship Vigilant slipped from hyperspace into the dark system. The crew watched in silence as the stars stretched back into place. A faint nebula glowed in the distance, and within it, something flickered. Mark leaned forward. There, a ship. The vessel floated half-broken, sparks bleeding from its hull. Its design was unlike anything in human records. Long curves, silver plating scarred and torn apart. No lights shone inside. Sarah whispered. "Looks dead," Reeves ordered. "Open a channel." Static filled the comms. Then slowly, the same desperate voice answered. "You heard us. You came." The sound of relief carried even through the broken signal. Reeves spoke firmly. "This is the human ship Vigilant. Identify yourselves." The reply came in gasps. "We, survivors, our world, gone. Deathworlders, destroyed everything. They will find us. They always find us." The crew exchanged nervous looks. Sarah muttered, "It wasn't a trap after all." But before anyone could relax, Mark's console beeped, his face drained of color. "Commander," multiple energy signatures detected, something big closing fast. The view screen lit up. From the black void, enormous shapes moved, dark, jagged ships sliding silently through space. They made no signal, no warning. Their design was brutal, efficient, terrifying. The survivor's voice screamed through the comms. "They found us! Run, run!" Reeves snapped into action. "Shields up, engines full power!" The Vigilant turned sharply, engines roaring as the alien ships grew larger on the screen. They didn't fire, not yet. Instead, they advanced like predators circling prey. Sarah's voice trembled. "Sir, what if they're faster?" Reeves growled. "Then we buy time." The comms erupted again with the alien survivors. Their tone cracked, hopeless. "You cannot fight them. No one fights them. They erase everything." Mark clenched his fists. "Why call for help if there's no hope?" The alien voice broke into sobs. "Because maybe humans are different." The deck fell silent. Even Reeves paused, eyes narrowing. Then, suddenly, one of the massive ships powered its weapons. The void outside lit with burning red. Reeves roared, "Brace for impact!" The blast tore across space, missing the Vigilant by meters. The shockwave rattled the hull. Alarms screamed, red lights flashing across the bridge. Sarah shouted, "We can't outrun them for long." Reeves gritted his teeth. "Then we make them chase us. Mark, send coordinates of our sector command. Tell them everything." Mark's hands flew, sending the message into the void. "Transmission away." Outside, the Deathworlder fleet closed in, dark ships moving with terrifying precision. The alien survivors begged through the comms, their voices broken. "Please, please, don't leave us." Reeves's voice was steady, iron hard. "We're not leaving anyone." The crew stared at him, shocked by the weight of his words. But before they could respond, another blast shook the ship. Panels sparked, smoke filled the air. Sarah coughed. "Sir, if we stay, we die." Reeves glared at the monstrous fleet on the screen. "If we run, they die. And if Deathworlders erase worlds, then they won't stop at theirs. They'll come for ours." The deck went quiet. Fear thickened the air. But beneath it a spark of resolve flickered. Mark whispered, almost to himself, "Then this is where it begins." The alien survivors sobbed in relief. For the first time, their voices carried not just fear, but hope. Outside, the Deathworlder fleet spread across the stars like a storm, their shadows stretching over the human ship. And in that silence before the next attack, the humans knew one truth. This signal had changed everything. Humanity had just stepped into a war it did not understand, and there was no turning back. The Vigilant drifted near the broken alien ship, its engines still glowing from the desperate escape. Inside the human vessel, the crew worked quickly, their faces tight with fear and urgency. The alien fleet had not followed them deeper into the system, but no one believed they were safe. "Commander." Reeves stood at the center of the bridge, his voice calm but heavy. "Status report." Sarah wiped smoke from her console. "Shields holding, but we can't take another direct hit. Engines damaged, but still running." Mark looked at the flickering signal from the alien vessel. "Survivors are still calling. Us. They want us to dock." Reeves studied the half-destroyed ship outside the viewport. Its hull was torn open in places, sparks dancing across the edges. It looked more like a grave than a safe haven. Yet the voices coming from inside were desperate, pleading. "Docking is a risk," Sarah whispered. "It could explode, or worse, it could be a trap." Mark shook his head. "I don't think it's a trap. You heard them. They're terrified." Reeves finally spoke. "Prepare a boarding team. If they're lying, we'll know. If not, they need us." Minutes later, the humans floated across the void in a shuttle, docking with the alien ship. The airlock creaked as it opened, releasing a hiss of stale air. The corridor beyond was dim, shadows stretching across strange, curved walls. Symbols glowed faintly, alien markings none of them could read. Mark gripped his weapon tighter. "Feels like a tomb." From the darkness, weak lights flickered. Shapes moved slowly, thin, fragile figures stepping forward. Their bodies were tall and slender, skin pale with a faint silver shimmer. Their large black eyes reflected fear, but also hope. One of them raised trembling hands. You came. Humans came. Sarah lowered her weapon slightly. We heard your call. Who are you? The alien's voice shook. We are all that is left. Our world is gone, burned. Another alien stepped closer, leaning heavily on a broken piece of metal. The Deathworlders. They do not conquer. They destroy. They erase, Mark asked quietly. Why you? Why your world? The aliens exchanged glances, their faces filled with sorrow. Finally, the first one whispered, because we would not bow, and because they hate weakness. To them, mercy is weakness. The humans listened in silence. The aliens' words cut deep, echoing with truth. Reeves broke the silence. How many of you are alive? 20, maybe less, the alien said softly. Many are wounded. Many will not last. Sarah looked around the corridor. Faint cries echoed deeper inside, soft and broken. She could almost feel the weight of the suffering. Reeves made a decision. We'll take as many as we can onto the Vigilant. But first, I need to know more about these Deathworlders. Who are they? The alien leader's eyes darkened. They were once like us, flesh and bone, but now they are something else. They made themselves stronger, harder. No fear, no compassion, only survival and destruction. They live on planets where no other life can breathe, worlds of fire, poison, and endless storms. To them, the galaxy is prey. Mark shivered. So they're not just warriors, they're monsters. The alien nodded slowly. Yes, monsters that remember every enemy. They will not stop. Suddenly, the corridor shook violently. Sparks rained from above. The human crew staggered as alarms blared. Sarah gasped. What was that? The alien leader's voice trembled. They found us again. Back on the Vigilant, sensors screamed warnings. The massive Deathworlder ships had returned, sliding out of the nebula like hunters smelling blood. On the alien vessel, panic spread. Survivors cried out, some collapsing in despair. The alien leader turned to Reeves, his voice breaking. You must leave us. If you stay, they will destroy you too. Reeves' jaw tightened. Not happening. We take you with us, Sarah hissed. Sir, our ship is already crippled. We can't fight them head on. Reeves looked at the terrified aliens, then back at his crew. We don't abandon the helpless. Get them aboard. Now. Mark and Sarah guided the weak aliens through the corridors, helping them across the docking bridge to the shuttle. Every second felt longer, the looming threat pressing closer. One alien, smaller and weaker than the rest, tugged Mark's sleeve. Its voice was barely a whisper. They will never stop chasing us. You must know this. Mark nodded grimly. Then we'll make them regret chasing. As the last of the survivors entered the shuttle, the alien ship's hull groaned, metal tearing. Fire erupted from the far corridor, consuming the shadows. Go, Reeves ordered. The shuttle detached, just as the alien vessel exploded, sending debris scattering into the void. The survivors wailed softly, watching the last piece of their home vanish. But there was no time to mourn. Outside, the Deathworlder fleet spread wider, blocking every escape path. Their ships glowed with red energy, weapons charging on the Vigilance bridge. Alarms screamed. Sarah shouted, They're locking on! Reeves stood tall, eyes locked on the enemy fleet. Engines full power! Plot a course through them! Mark stared in disbelief. Through them? That's suicide! Reeves's voice was steady, steel-hard. It's the only chance. If we run wide, they'll pick us off. If we go through, maybe we break the net. The ship surged forward, engines screaming. Alien survivors clung to each other, their dark eyes wide with fear. The Deathworlder fleet moved to close the trap. Weapons lit the darkness, streaks of burning light tearing across space. Explosions rocked the Vigilant, sparks showering the bridge. Sarah cried out, Shields failing! Reeves shouted, Hold on! At the last second, Mark triggered countermeasures. Decoy flares burst into the void, confusing some of the incoming fire. The Vigilant dove through the chaos, slipping between two monstrous ships. Metal groaned as shockwaves pounded the hull. For a moment, it seemed they would be crushed. But then, the stars stretched. Hyperspace swallowed them. Silence fell on the bridge. Smoke filled the air, consoles sparking, but they were alive. Sarah slumped into her chair, her voice shaking. We made it. Mark exhaled in disbelief. Barely. The alien leader, weak but alive, stood behind them. His black eyes met Reeves. You did not leave us. No one else would have done this. Perhaps humans are different. Reeves stared at the fading stars of hyperspace, his voice low. Or perhaps we're just next. The survivors said nothing. Their silence was heavier than words. For deep in the dark, the Deathworlders would not forget, and they would not forgive. The Vigilant floated in the calm of hyperspace, but inside the ship there was no peace. The bridge smelled of smoke, panels sparked, and the quiet sobs of the rescued aliens echoed through the halls. Commander Reeves stood at the center, his jaw tight. He had fought many battles, but never against something like the Deathworlders. The way their ships had moved, silent, precise, unstoppable, still burned in his mind. Sarah broke the silence. We escaped, but only just. If they wanted to, they could have destroyed us back there. Mark frowned. Then why didn't they? Why let us go? Reeves turned his cold eyes toward him. They didn't let us go. They're hunting us. They want to see where we run. The thought hung in the air like a shadow. From the corner of the bridge, the alien leader, weak and pale, spoke in his trembling voice. He is right. The Deathworlders never stop once they mark prey. They will follow you. They will follow us. Across stars. Across time. Mark clenched his fists. So we're carrying a beacon for them. The alien looked away, guilt heavy on his face. You should have left us to die. Reeves' voice cut sharp. That's not how humans work. The alien's dark eyes studied him for a long moment, as if trying to understand something he could not. Hours later, alarms broke the fragile silence. The Vigilant's long-range sensors screamed with warnings. Sarah's hands flew over the console. Contact! Multiple ships behind us. Same signatures. Reeves didn't even look surprised. Deathworlders. Mark cursed under his breath. They're faster than us. They'll catch up before we reach command. Reeves's mind raced. Options? Sarah hesitated. We could drop into normal space, try to hide. Reeves shook his head. They'll sniff us out. Hiding won't work. The alien leader spoke again, his voice low. You cannot outrun them. No one can. The only reason we lived this long is because they enjoy the hunt. They break hope before they break life. Sarah's face went pale. So we're just entertainment for them? The alien nodded slowly. Yes, until the end. For a moment, despair weighed heavy on the crew. Then Reeves slammed his fist against the armrest. No, we don't play their game. We fight it. Mark looked at him like he was mad. Fight? Sir, one of their ships is enough to tear us apart. A fleet? That's suicide. Reeves leaned closer, his voice cold steel. They think we'll run. We'll make them regret that. Silence followed. The crew exchanged nervous glances. They knew their commander was reckless, but also that he was often right. The ship trembled as hyperspace rippled. The Vigilant dropped into real space near a dark, empty system. No planets, no stations, only dead rock and dust. Sarah asked, why here? Reeves studied the scanner. Because here, no one else dies but us. Moments later, the void lit up with shadows. Deathworlder ships emerged from hyperspace, massive and silent, their black hulls blotting out the stars. They spread like a net, hemming the humans in. Mark whispered, God, there are so many. The alien survivors cried softly, their fear filling the air. Reeves stood tall, his voice steady. Power up weapons. All of them. Sarah stared at him. "We can't win." "We don't have to win," Reeves replied. "We just have to hurt them." The first Deathworlder ship moved, slow and menacing. Its weapons glowed red, ready to fire. But then it stopped. Instead, a deep, rumbling voice filled the comms, strange yet clear. "Fragile humans, you protect the weak. You think that makes you strong, but it only makes your end sweeter." The crew froze. This was the first time they had ever heard a Deathworlder speak. Reeves answered without hesitation. "We don't protect the weak because it makes us strong. We protect them because it makes us human." There was silence, then dark laughter over the comms. "Then we will erase your humanity first." The Deathworlder fleet powered up. Explosions lit the void as the battle began. Human weapons fired bright streams of energy, slamming into enemy shields. The Deathworlders answered with burning red blasts that rocked the Vigilant like a toy in a storm. Sarah cried out, "Shields failing!" Mark yelled, "Hull breach on deck 3. Reeves gritted his teeth. "Target their flank. Hit the smaller ones." The Vigilant dove, weaving between two massive ships. Their weapons blasted each other by mistake, a flash of fire filling the void. The crew cheered briefly, then screamed as another blast struck their side, tearing metal. The alien survivors huddled together, whispering prayers in a language humans didn't understand. On the bridge, alarms screamed. Sarah shouted, "We can't last much longer." Reeves looked at the chaos on his screens, then at the terrified aliens. A thought burned in his mind. "If they want prey, let's give them predators," he ordered. "Reroute all power to weapons. Even life support if you have to." Sarah's eyes widened. "That'll kill us," Reeves snapped. "Then we die fighting." Mark slammed his hand on the console. "He's right. Better this than being erased." The Vigilant surged forward, weapons blazing at full power. The ship roared like a wounded beast, tearing into one Deathworlder cruiser. Explosions ripped across its hull. For the first time, one of the dark ships fell silent, breaking apart in fire. The bridge shook from the return fire. But for a moment, hope flickered. Mark gasped, We hurt them." The Deathworlder voice returned, colder than before. "Interesting, the prey bites back." "Good, this hunt will be remembered." The fleet closed in tighter, fury in their movements. Reeves whispered under his breath, "Let them remember." The Vigilant dived once more, twisting through the burning wreckage of the destroyed enemy ship. Every console screamed warnings, every panel sparked, but still they fought. Sarah shouted, "Engines failing!" Reeves roared, "Push them harder!" And then suddenly, silence. The Deathworlder ship stopped firing. They hung in the void, still and watching. Sarah whispered, "Why did they stop?" The alien leader trembled, his black eyes wide. "They don't want to end it yet. They want to study you. No one has ever wounded them like this." Reeves' face hardened. "Then they'll learn a new lesson. Humans don't bow. Not now. Not ever." The enemy fleet remained, shadows against the stars, their red lights glowing like hungry eyes. The battle was not over. It was only the beginning. The Vigilant limped through the dark, her hull torn and her engines coughing sparks. Inside, the crew worked frantically to patch systems. The survivors they had rescued huddled in the lower decks, their eyes wide with silent fear. Commander Reeves stood at the center of the bridge, his face grim but steady. He looked at the star maps flickering weakly on the main screen. "We can't fight them forever. We need help." Sarah shook her head, frustration in her voice. "Our long-range comms were damaged in the fight. We can't call command. We're alone out here," Mark added, "and the Deathworlders are still watching us. They're not chasing now, but they're close. I can feel it." Reeves leaned forward. "That means they're waiting. They want to see what we'll do next." From behind them, the alien leader stepped onto the bridge. His silver skin shimmered faintly under the weak lights. "They test you. That is their way. They break hope before they strike the final blow." Reeves turned to him. "Then maybe we should test them instead." The alien tilted his head. "You mean to fight again? You cannot win." Reeves' voice was cold and firm. We don't need to win. We just need to show them what humans are made of. The bridge fell silent. Sarah and Mark exchanged uneasy glances, but no one argued. They had seen Reeves's stubborn courage before. It had saved them more than once. Hours passed as the crew worked. Repairs were rushed, weapons recharged with what little power remained. The survivors helped where they could, though their hands trembled. A strange unity grew between human and alien, both broken, both hunted. Finally, the sensors screamed again. Sarah's eyes went wide. They're back, 10 ships, maybe more, surrounding us. The stars outside darkened as massive Deathworlder vessels slid into view. Their jagged hulls glowed with red energy, silent and menacing. Mark muttered, "Here we go again." A low, chilling voice filled the comms. It was the same one from before, rumbling like thunder. "Humans, you survive longer than expected, but your defiance ends now." Reeves answered with steel in his tone. "You think we're afraid of you? You think killing us will end this? No. If we fall here, others will rise. That's what makes us human." For a long moment there was only silence, then dark laughter shook the comms. "Then we will break you first, and let the galaxy watch." The Deathworlders moved in dot. The Vigilant fired everything she had. Cannons lit the void, missiles streaked forward, and the little ship fought like a cornered beast. One Deathworlder cruiser took heavy hits, flames tearing across its hull. But the enemy answered with fire so brutal it rattled every bone in the humans' bodies. Sarah screamed over the alarms. "Shields down to 20%, Mark shouted. "We can't take much more." Still, Reeves stood tall. "Keep fighting! Show them what it means to be human!" The ship shook again as another blast struck. Sparks flew, smoke filled the bridge, and consoles exploded in showers of light. Then, suddenly, a scream filled the comms. Not from humans, but from the aliens. One of the Deathworlder ships had turned its weapons toward the rescued survivors, targeting the lower decks. The alien leader cried out, his voice breaking. "No, they are killing the weak first." Reeves froze. This was worse than he had thought. The Deathworlders weren't just destroying ships, they wanted to erase every trace of hope. "Sarah," Reeves barked, "divert power to shield the lower decks." Sarah's hands flew, but her voice shook. "Sir, if I do that, our weapons will fail." "Do it!" Reeves roared. The Vigilant's guns fell silent, but her shields wrapped tight around the lower decks. The next enemy blast slammed against them, lighting the corridors with fire, but the survivors lived. Mark stared in disbelief. "We're defenseless." Reeves's eyes narrowed. "Not defenseless, not yet." He leaned toward the comms, his voice dark and steady. "You want to break us? You'll find humans don't break easy." The Deathworlder voice rumbled with amusement. "Then bleed for us." Another storm of fire pounded the ship, hull plating ripped away. Alarms screamed and smoke poured through the bridge. Sarah coughed through the haze. "We can't hold." Mark's hands trembled on his console. "Sir, say the word and I'll overload the reactor. At least we'll take one of them with us." Reeves' eyes locked on the fleet outside. His voice was low but unshaken. "Not. Yet if we die, it won't be here, not like this." At that moment, something unexpected happened. One of the Deathworlder ships broke formation. It pulled back, drifting into the shadows. The others hesitated briefly before resuming their attack. Sarah frowned. Why would one of them retreat? The alien leader's eyes widened. "They are testing again, measuring your will. You wounded them before. Now they wonder if you can wound them again," Mark whispered. "They're not fighting to win. They're fighting to learn." Reeves's face hardened. "Then let's teach them the wrong lesson," he ordered. "Reroute life support power to engines. We're going straight at them." Sarah gasped. "That's suicide," Reeves snapped. "It's survival. Trust me." The Vigilant roared forward, engines blazing brighter than ever. The little ship shot straight toward the largest enemy cruiser, weaving through fire. Enemy blasts missed by meters, tearing space around them. Mark shouted, "We're going to crash into them." Reeves growled. Not crash, strike. At the last moment, Mark fired the last of their missiles. The cruiser's shields flared, struggling to hold. Then the Vigilant pulled away, engines screaming, just as the missile detonated. The explosion ripped across the cruiser's hull, tearing huge chunks of metal away. For the second time, a Deathworlder ship fell silent. The bridge erupted in cheers. Even the alien survivors cried out in awe. Sarah gasped, breathless. We did it again. The Deathworlder voice returned, no longer amused. Twice you wound us. Few in the galaxy can claim such a thing. Humans, you are not prey. You are irritation. You are infection. The fleet began to pull back, their ships sliding into the shadows of space. Mark whispered, stunned. They're retreating? The alien leader shook his head. No, they do not retreat. They remember. They plan. Reeves' voice was quiet, heavy. Then let them plan, because so will we. The stars fell silent again as the Deathworlder fleet vanished into the dark. The Vigilant floated broken but alive, her crew scarred but unbroken. And across the bridge, a single truth settled in everyone's heart. Humanity had just declared itself a fighter in a war far greater than they had ever known. The Vigilant drifted in the edge of the star cluster, engines glowing weakly. Outside, the void was calm, but the crew knew it was only a quiet before the storm. Sensors had picked up dozens of massive energy signatures moving toward them. The Deathworlders had returned, and this time they were not holding back. Commander. Reeves leaned over the main console, eyes hard. All stations to battle readiness. This is it. No retreat, no mercy. Everyone fight for their lives and for these survivors. Sarah's hands shook as she activated the shields. Sir, there are at least 20 ships. We're outnumbered 10-1. Reeves's voice was calm, sharp. Then we fight smarter, not harder. Target their formations, split them up. Don't let them surround us, Mark muttered. Smarter or insane? The alien leader's pale eyes shone in the dim light. Your humans are strange, weak and fragile, yet brave. I do not understand it. Reeves' jaw tightened. Then try. To understand this, we don't run from monsters. The first salvo hit. Red energy flared across space, hitting the Vigilant's shields with violent force. The ship shook as sparks flew across the bridge. Shields down to 30%, Sarah shouted. Mark gritted his teeth. Brace for impact. The humans fired back. Missiles streaked toward the enemy fleet, blasting one of the smaller Deathworlder cruisers into pieces. Explosions lit the void, and for the first time, a flicker of hope appeared among the survivors. But it didn't last. A massive cruiser fired a concentrated beam, tearing through space and slamming into the Vigilant. The bridge shook violently. Consoles exploded and smoke filled the air. Hull breach in Deck 4, Sarah screamed. We're losing atmosphere. Reeves growled. Seal off affected sections. Keep fighting. The alien leader's voice trembled. You will not survive. No one has faced them like this and lived. Reeves ignored him. We're not dead yet. We adapt. We fight. Mark spotted an opening. Sir, the Deathworlder's formation is loose near that cluster of asteroids. We can hit 2 cruisers if we flank them. Reeves nodded. Do it. Sarah, fire the secondary weapons while Mark guides the flank. The Vigilant twisted through space like a blade. Energy bolts streaked past them as missiles locked onto enemy ships. 2 Deathworlder cruisers were hit simultaneously. Explosions lit the darkness. The survivors gasped, fear mixed with awe. Humans. Impossible, whispered the alien leader. Reeves didn't answer. He focused on the screens as more. Enemy ships advanced. Keep moving, keep firing, never stop. A massive shadow loomed ahead, a Deathworlder dreadnought, bigger than any ship the humans had ever seen. Its weapons glowed bright red, and its presence alone felt like gravity. Pulling at the Vigilant. Sarah panicked. Sir, that thing will destroy us. Reeves's voice was steady. Then we destroy it first. Mark stared in disbelief. How? Impossible! Reeves's eyes flicked to the alien survivors. You said it yourselves. They remember every wound. Let's give them a wound they will never forget, he ordered. Target the dreadnought's weak points. All power to weapons and engines. Full speed. The Vigilant surged forward, dodging incoming fire. Every bolt hit the shields, every impact rattling the hull. Smoke filled the bridge and alarms screamed, but they pressed on. Sarah shouted over the chaos. Engines at max! Weapons locked! Mark fired the missiles, timing them perfectly. They struck the dreadnought simultaneously. Energy shields flared, then cracked. The ship shuddered, smoke erupting from damaged sections. For a fleeting moment, the enormous vessel wobbled. The alien leader's voice was a whisper. No one has done this. Reeves's jaw tightened. We're not done yet. Another wave of smaller Deathworlder ships attacked from behind. Mark maneuvered the Vigilant between two cruisers, dodging blasts. He shouted, "We can split them! Hit them in pairs!" The humans fired relentlessly. One cruiser exploded, then another. Sparks flew across the void as the Vigilant weaved through the chaos. The dreadnought roared, firing a massive beam. The bridge shook violently and Sarah screamed, "Shields failing! 10%! Reeves slammed his fist on the console. "Use the asteroids. Force it to move!" The Vigilant darted among the rocky debris, twisting to avoid destruction. The massive dreadnought followed, clumsy among the rocks, giving the humans a slight advantage. Mark's eyes widened. "Now! Oh, sir, fire everything!" The Vigilant released every missile, every cannon shot, striking the dreadnought again. This time sparks erupted from multiple hull sections. The massive ship trembled violently before a chain reaction ripped through its energy core. The crew held their breath. The dreadnought exploded, a fiery bloom spreading across the void. Several smaller ships veered away, confused by the sudden loss of their leader. The alien leader whispered, voice full of awe, They feared nothing." Reeves's voice was calm but firm, "and they will remember that humans are not prey." Sarah exhaled, collapsing into her chair. We did it. We actually did it." Mark looked around, grim. "Barely. The ship's destroyed, engines damaged, shields down. We're lucky to be alive." Reeves studied the stars where the Deathworlder fleet had retreated. "This isn't over. They will regroup. But we showed them something today, the alien." Survivors stepped forward, eyes wide with amazement. "You're kind. You are not like the others. You do not flee. You do not bow." Reeves nodded. "We protect the helpless. That's what makes us human. And we fight." Mark muttered, "I never thought I'd survive a battle like this, and now I don't know if the galaxy is ready for humans like us." Reeves turned, his eyes dark. "They will learn, and if they forget, we'll remind them. Every time." Outside, the void was silent again, broken only by the faint glow of debris from the destroyed dreadnought. The Vigilant floated, battered, but unbroken, a tiny spark of hope in the endless darkness. Somewhere in the stars, the Deathworlders plotted. But humanity had fought back, and for the first time, the monsters would remember that humans were not weak. The Vigilant floated silently in the void, battered but alive. Smoke rose from damaged panels, and the hum of broken engines filled the ship. The survivors huddled in the lower decks, still trembling, still unsure if the nightmare had ended. Commander Reeves stood on the bridge, eyes locked on the distant stars. His face was grim, lined with exhaustion. "We survived the Deathworlders," he said quietly, "but surviving isn't enough. We need to warn the galaxy." Sarah wiped soot from her face, her hands still shaking. "Sir, they'll come back. They'll be stronger next time." Reeves nodded. "Then the galaxy needs to know. We can't let anyone else fall like the aliens we saved." Mark leaned against a console, staring at the distant debris from the destroyed dreadnought. We barely survived the last battle. How do we even tell them to fight the Deathworlders? No fleet can match them. Not yet. The alien leader stepped forward, his black eyes reflecting both fear and admiration. Your kind, humans, you fought when all hope was gone. That is something no other race could do. You are different. Reeves gave a tight smile. We don't fight because we're strong. We fight because we won't abandon those in need. From the sensors, a faint blip appeared. A signal, long, steady, and encrypted. Mark ran the decryption. Sir, it's from Human Command. They finally received our distress message. Reeves' eyes narrowed. Finally. Sarah frowned. Do you think they can help? They'll arrive too late. Reeves shook his head. Maybe. Or maybe they'll arrive just in time to learn that humans can't be counted out. The alien leader spoke again, voice trembling. Your people, you risked yourselves for us. The Deathworlders, they will remember this. They never forget those who resist. Reeves studied the stars. Then let them remember. Let them know humanity fights differently. Hours later, the Vigilant limped toward a safe sector. The crew worked silently, exhausted but determined. The alien survivors whispered prayers, in their language, sometimes glancing at the humans with newfound trust. Suddenly, the sensors flared red. Another Deathworlder signature appeared in the distance, smaller, faster ships approaching, almost scouting. Dot. Mark groaned. They're not done. Reeves didn't flinch. They never are. But we're not afraid. Not now. Sarah asked, voice tense. Sir, what do we do if they attack? Reeves's eyes were hard. Then we fight. That's all we've ever done. The Deathworlder ship stopped at the edge of sensor range, almost observing. One of their voices came through the comms, deep and chilling. Humans, you survived. Twice you have wounded us. We remember. We wait. And next time, we will not forgive. Mark swallowed hard. They sound like they respect us. Reeves nodded. Respect? Maybe, or fear. Either way, it buys us time. The alien leader looked thoughtful. You have not only saved us humans, you have sent a message. Across the galaxy, races will hear of this. Hope. Hope returns. Sarah blinked. Hope? After all we've seen? Reeves's voice was steady. Yes, hope. Because even in the darkness, humans fight. And when humans fight, monsters think twice. The Vigilant limped toward human space, battered but proud. Reports of the Deathworlder fleet spread like wildfire across command channels. Other human ships, once unaware of the danger, scrambled to prepare. Mark stared at the stars. So this is the start, a warning, and a fight we haven't finished? Reeves nodded, turning back to the bridge. Yes, and the galaxy will remember that day, the day humans refused to bow, the day humans stood for the helpless. The alien leader stepped forward, his voice quiet, but full of emotion. Your kind, your people, they are not like the others. They inspire fear in monsters and hope in the weak. Reeves gave a tight nod. We don't fight for glory. We fight for survival, and for those who cannot fight themselves. Sarah whispered almost to herself, I don't think the galaxy knows what it's about to face. Mark smiled grimly. Maybe it's about time they learned. The Vigilant moved slowly, engines glowing faintly, carrying the survivors home. Behind them, the void stretched endlessly, but the shadow of the Deathworlders had not disappeared. Somewhere out there, the monstrous fleet was regrouping, planning and remembering. But humanity had fought. Humanity had survived. And somewhere, in the darkness of the stars, a single truth shone brighter than any sun. The galaxy had learned that humans do not abandon the helpless. They do not bow. They fight. And when they fight, even monsters pause to take notice. The alien survivors whispered. Prayers. The humans worked silently, And in the quiet between the stars, hope flickered. The galaxy was far from safe, but for the first time in a long time, it had a chance. Reeves looked at the stars, voice low. We've survived, and next time, we will be ready. Mark, Sarah, and the alien leader nodded. They did not know what the future held, but they knew this. Human courage had changed the course of the galaxy. The stars stretched endlessly, dark and infinite, but humanity's light burned brighter than ever.